I'm Rebecca from engVid, and welcome to this lesson on English for Parents. In this more practically oriented video, I'm going to explain to you some of the things that you could keep in mind when you're preparing for a parent-teacher interview, okay? Or a parent-teacher conference. These are some tips that will help you to prepare before you go and while you're there, and also to understand the teacher more easily when he or she starts to explain about what's going on with your child. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, before you go, talk to your child. Okay, depending on your relationship with your child, maybe your son or daughter tells you a lot about what's going on in school, and maybe not. And also understand, of course, that school is much more than just the academic subjects. It's also the social environment and so on. All of this matters. So try to get as much information from your child about how he or she is feeling in school, if they're having any special difficulties, if they're having a hard time, if anybody's bothering them, is anything going on, okay? As much as possible, it will help you to participate more fully in that conference, okay? Next, prepare some questions in advance. And why should you do that? Because maybe there are some words, some vocabulary that you're not familiar with in English. But if you think of your questions in advance, you have enough time to look it up online, find the translation, and then you will have the words that you need to ask the teacher some questions. Maybe you don't have the exact grammar, but at least if you've used the right vocabulary or the right words, then the teacher will understand what you're trying to ask about. Okay? So do that. It will help you. It'll help you feel more confident, and it'll help the teacher to know that you're really trying and caring, even if your English isn't perfect, but you really care about your child enough to want to participate fully. Okay? Next, also, in most English-speaking schools, you are expected to share your concerns. Okay? Teachers appreciate it when you share your concerns. It's not only what the teacher is going to tell you about your child, it's also what you can share with the teacher about your child, okay? So be a little more open, share any worries or concerns about how they're doing. Okay, how's Johnny doing in math, or how's Susan doing in gym? You know, she's having a hard time this year. Feel free to share those concerns, okay? Now, here are some actual sentences and questions that you might want to use during your conference, okay? So first of all, be very open and friendly and polite to the teacher. It's always good and diplomatic to start off with a thank you. You know, thank you very much for helping Johnny. I really appreciate it. Johnny really likes your class. He feels so comfortable in your class. He enjoys being in your class, something like that. And thank you so much for helping him. I really appreciate it, okay? You can use this sentence again and again in all kinds of situations. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your helping Johnny. I really appreciate everything you're doing to help Johnny. It means so much to us. Thank you so much, okay? Be sincere. That sincerity comes through. Doesn't matter what. Especially when we're talking about our children, right? Okay. Next. If you don't understand something that the teacher is saying or said, you just ask politely, could you please repeat that? I'm sorry, I didn't understand, or I don't understand what that means. Could you explain what that means? Or could you slow down, please? I'm trying to follow you. I can't follow. Could you please slow down? Could you please repeat that? Okay, something like that. If you use could you please before the verb, then that will help you. Okay? Next, you can also ask the teacher, oh, what could I do to help? What can I do to help Johnny in math? What can I do to help Johnny feel more comfortable in English? What can I do? Okay? The teacher will appreciate that you're a parent who cares, who wants to help, who wants to support that child's success. And that way, both you and the teacher will come together as partners in helping your child to succeed in the class. Okay? Now, next, I'm going to go through some important expressions and phrasal verbs in particular that teachers often use to describe a child's performance in a classroom. So let's look at that next. Okay, So now here are some things a teacher may say to you at a parent-teacher meeting. I'm going to read through it all, and then I'll go back and I'll explain all of the points, especially what's written in blue, which are the phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs, again, are just verbs and prepositions that have a slightly different meaning when used together. So let's see first what you understand. Overall, Johnny is keeping up with the rest of the class. He's certainly not falling behind. Sometimes when I call on him, he clams up or tenses up. So I give him more time to catch on or for my question to sink in. In general, I'd say Johnny's coping with all the changes. I don't think he feels left out. In fact, he has several friends and joins in all our class activities. Okay? So this is something that you may be very likely to hear. Okay? Or certainly some of these expressions, if not all together like that. Okay? And not only would the teacher possibly be using these expressions, you, once you understand them, can also use these expressions. Okay? So let's go back now and understand them one by one. So overall, Johnny is keeping up with the rest of the class. So to keep up with someone, or with, in this case, the rest of the class, means to stay at the same level, the same place as others. Okay? Not behind, but to stay and achieve the same as others. Okay? That means to keep up with someone. Let's suppose there are two runners, okay, who are in a race, and they are both in the same position, okay? Not one behind and one ahead, but in the same place. So they're keeping up with each other, okay? Like that. Next, he's certainly not falling behind. So as we explained, let's say all the students are here, or the students are here, and he's in the same place. He's not behind them. He's at the same level as them, whether you want to call that level here or here, okay? He's at the same level as them. He's not falling behind them. Next, sometimes when I call on him, to call on someone means when I ask him a question, right? Teachers often do that. Johnny, what do you say? Mark, what do you think? Okay? So what a teacher is doing at that point is calling on various students. Okay? It means to ask them questions. So sometimes when I call on him, when I ask him a question, he clams up or tenses up. So to clam up means to become quiet, become silent. Now probably Johnny might be doing that because he's nervous or he's scared or he doesn't know the answer. It doesn't just happen to Johnny if he's new in the school. It happens to lots of kids and has happened to all of us when we're in school because sometimes we get a little nervous when the attention is on us. So what does it mean to clam up? It means to become quiet or silent. So sometimes he clams up or tenses up. So tense up means to become like stressed, okay, nervous, afraid, okay? So that's what that means. Let's continue. So I give him more time to catch on. To catch on means to understand, all right? Did you catch on? Means did you understand? So I give him more time to catch on, understand, or for my question to sink in. This is a phrasal verb which means to be understood, to really be absorbed. Okay? To sink in means like, okay, you understand, and then you get it, and then you get it a little bit more, and now it has sunk in, means it's gotten inside you. Okay? And you have understood it well. Okay? That's the meaning of to sink in. In general, I'd say Johnny's coping with all the changes. So to cope with something means to deal successfully, to manage successfully with something. Okay, means to cope. Usually we cope with a change, we cope with a challenge, we cope with a difficulty. Okay, that's when we say somebody is coping with it, I'm managing well, managing successfully. Okay? Next, I don't think he feels left out. Okay? So what does it mean to be left out? Let's suppose that all the children are playing here and Johnny's over here. In that case, Johnny would be left out, right? But that means he's separate from them. He's apart from them. He's not being included in their activities. That's being left out. But if Johnny is there along with all of the other kids and everybody's playing together, then you can say that he's not left out. Okay? He's part of the group. So he feels, I don't think he feels left out. In fact, he has several friends. Okay? He has many friends and joins in all our class activities. To join in means to participate. Okay? So again, join in, participate. Be part of it. Okay? Be part of the class activities. Left out, not a part of it. To cope with something, to deal with something successfully. To sink in means to really get it, to really understand something. To catch on means to understand it, to grasp it. Okay? To tense up means to become kind of stressed and nervous. To clam up means to become silent. To call on someone means to ask someone a question and ask them to speak. To fall behind means to not stay at the same level as the others, but to be working at a slower pace. Okay? And to keep up with others is to stay at the same level with others. Okay? So here we've just reviewed about 10, I think there are, phrasal verbs, which you might very well hear at a parent-teacher meeting. Okay? And also in general, you could hear them in different situations and certainly in academic situations. Okay? So I really wish you all the very best. I admire my students so much, especially the parents, because what happens after some time, or especially after a few years, is their children become their teachers in English, and you might be experiencing this already. And it's a real challenge, and I so admire all the parents who have moved to a new country, who are immigrants, and who are supporting their families in the best ways they can. And I'm very honored to be able to do that for you. Okay? All the best with your English, and all the best with your families and your new life. Bye for now.